Happy Thursday, English 220. Professor Sasso here, broadcasting from home, which I'm sure many of you are spending a lot of time in your homes as well recently. So it's nice to sort of still try to connect. And you may have also heard that we are going completely online for the rest of the term. So the college is still trying to figure out labs and internships and other things like that, but most of our coursework will be delivered online. They have made that decision. So again, doesn't completely affect us, but might affect you in other classes. So just make sure you're staying in really good communication with your instructors and you continue to check the college for any updates. So, and I of course want to say I hope you are all well, your families are well, and if you need anything from me during this time, even if it's just a little bit of extended time on work, I am flexible and empathetic to what's happening, so don't hesitate to reach out. These are sort of wild and different times, so I think we're all trying to adjust. I'm also completely free for phone calls. If you want to talk through anything about the class over the phone, we can certainly do that. So I just wanted to check in with you about a couple of points this week. Like I said, I try hard not to pile on a ton of work. This is technically spring break, so try to give you a little bit of breathing room, and especially during this time to sort of collect yourself and see what's next for you and your families and your jobs and your life. So I sort of staggered some of the assignments, as I said before, and I've gotten some really good feedback from all of you, and sort of as this whole thing has escalated with the coronavirus, the second essay is making less sense to me at this point, in terms of, I think the number one community conflict we're focused on is the coronavirus and how it's affecting our communities and our families and our schools. So I understand that. And it's also, I think, difficult for other people to think and to give resources toward other issues right now. So I guess what I want to say about Essay 2 is that I want you to still focus on a community conflict. These things don't just go away because we're in the midst of this. There are still things in our communities that when we hopefully get to the other positive side of all of this will still be problems. So I encourage you still to think about your communities in terms of sort of your living daily life, sort of not in the time of Corona, what you might focus on. If you want to focus on the coronavirus, feel free to. It's appropriate and obviously very relevant. But what I'm not going to ask you to do is to actually set up interviews or reach out to community members about whichever conflict you choose. Like I said, I think it's important that people's resources are going towards the things that people need to figure out in terms of this, the spread of corona and how to be in a remote classroom, how to be in a remote community. So I will be revising the community interviews we will no longer do. But I would ask you instead, and I'm sort of modifying that assignment a little bit, to have a conversation with the people that you are in touch with, your friends or family. I know, again, people are highly distracted right now by what's happening, but can we still sort of have conversations about other things that are going on? So the assignment's going to be modified to just have you have a couple of good conversations about whatever conflict you choose with the people that you are in touch with. I think we also need to continue to be problem solvers and thinkers and in touch with the world. So this might be a good chance to talk about something other than Corona with your family, and for us to consider what's happening in our communities and what will continue to happen in our communities after this has resolved itself. So the community interviews, I won't be asking you to set anything up outside of your own circle of people, but I do want you to I still want you to pick a conflict that you think is happening in your community and have a conversation with people around you. And then I will also revise the research exercise piece. The research exercise for this essay asks you sort of to look locally in terms of local newspapers and that type of thing about your conflict, but then it asks you to do much more global universal research. So you're kind of going from this small local issue and seeing how it's playing out nationally and potentially internationally. So your research can get really big from here. So you don't have to stay with only local research on your topic when you do the research exercise. And that's why I'm sending you back to library sources and databases. So, and then that ends up sort of opening up the possibilities for the solution, right? We can find places where this has been solved elsewhere and maybe apply that to our own communities. So that's the point of the research exercise. So I'll take the community interviews off the research exercise as well. And most of that research, again, is on the library databases. The other thing that we're working on in class is I will be reading through your first essays. I'll be recording videos of me talking through your paper. And then probably around Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, I will, as part of this sort of check-in videoing, I will just sort of address things that are happening in everyone's essays. Talk a little bit about MLA and APA, talk about works cited, and just essay construction in general, and sort of also about the content of essay one. I think the challenge with essay one is having a nice balance of the context of the social and political change, and then enough analysis of the rhetoric. But I have to say, after reading your rhetorical analyses that you did, they're excellent. You did such a good job on that assignment, and I'm seeing some of that reflected in the drafts I've started to read. So really well done. That was not easy work, and I think because many of you spent time on those, your essay ones certainly improved. So really good work. The other piece is I want to talk to everyone a little bit about their research project proposals once I get all of those in, just to see, like I said, it's difficult to pick a community conflict when there is the community conflict of the virus. But I kind of want to see your ideas and what other thoughts you might have other than that. Again, you can do that, and like I said, it's relevant. But I also want some variety in these essays. So let me know if you're having trouble picking something, or having trouble sort of getting out of the mindset of Corona in order to do this next essay. So, and we can talk through that. So those are the things I wanted to say now. Just a reminder that the college will be fully online, but certainly pay attention to individual messages from your instructors about what that means for any of your other classes. What that means for us is we'll continue to work as we've been working. And what you can expect from me is certainly some feedback on your Research 2 proposals, video comments on Essay 1, and probably about midweek next week, just sort of talking through that first essay with everyone. And like I said before too, I sort of staggered the due dates a little bit, so I think the research for Essay 2 is not due until after the week after spring break, so you had some time to collect information. I also put up an Essay 2 planning sheet that might be helpful to people. If I had to think of this essay in 4 parts, it would be to set the context, to look at where there's division or argument, to discuss consequences if we don't solve the problem, and then the ultimate persuasion in this essay is the last moment in which we present a solution. And remember, we're talking about logos as well. This paper is focused on logical solutions to problems, and most of the community conflicts we pick have a lot of pathos, and so they're usually very emotional work. But we want to think really hard about applying the rhetorical strategy of logos to this paper. We want our solutions to be very well researched, grounded, and have real potential to work. So, and we'll talk more about that as we get into Essay 2. So I think that's all for now, but feel free to reach out to me with anything you might need. And I am literally just an email or a phone call away if you need something. Okay, and stay safe and well, and good luck with your family and friends as everyone goes through this together. Okay.